Good morning from wintry Wales. I'm out with the Bronica ETRS, which looks absolutely beautiful, and I'll be going to get some shots of that in just a moment. As you can see, it's currently snowing. It's really beautiful, but before we go and take some photos, I just want to show you my go-to setup whenever I'm going out to shoot car photography or anything like that. We have this, which is the 16 to 35 F2.8 from Sony G Master. Next to that, we have the Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to f2.8, and between the two lenses we have everything from 16 to 150, which is fantastic. Then we have this, which is the DJI Osmo Action 4 with my snap mount, which I use for POVs. And then we have these two. These are CPL filters, which are absolutely fundamental for when you're taking car photography, because you cut out the highlights from the car. So you just turn this around, and as you turn it around, it will cut out most of the highlights. Down the end, at the back here, we have my ND filter. So if I want to get anything a little bit more creative or a little bit different, then I'll be using that. And then lastly, this is the newer suction mount. This is something that I use to mount either the camera or the action camera to the car to get creative shots like you can see on the screen. Typically when I go out and I shoot car photography, I go out with the intention of trying to capture as much as I can of the car, which is why it's really good to go out with a super wide and a compressed lens. So the 16 all the way up to the 150 gives me that. We're gonna head off, go get some shots in one of the wooded areas around here, and hopefully it continues snowing. So with all that in mind so far that I've mentioned about the CPL and the gear, etc., I want to show you a little tip on how to get a little bit of a creative shot whenever you're taking car photography, and this also stands for portrait photography. So camera out in front of you, the settings that I've got at the moment are 0.4 of a second, f13, ISO 125. We'll change the ISO to 100. Now the focus area is in single spot. I'm going to pop that in the middle. In regards to settings, the f-stop for you would change depending on the scenario, if it's later at night or if it's during the day or what have you. You might have to use an ND filter as well, but 0.4 is the sweet spot. So if you point your camera towards your subject, and as the screen goes black, you move your camera. So move, move, move. So literally as it goes black, you're just moving your camera, and what that's going to do is it's going to give you a nice creative shot that you can see on the screen. It's just a little trick that I thought I'd teach you because it's really handy to know, especially for portrait photography. What you can also do is whenever you're looking at details, so like here we have the rear lights, looks really nice, so I think maybe this angle will look really good. So as we're looking at the light here, we can get nice and close, focusing on the light, getting nice and stable. And as that screen goes black, we're moving. Goes black, we're moving. Going black, we're moving. So it can be quite difficult sometimes to get it right, but trial and error. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it, etc, etc. Before we move on to the next location, I just want to show you how this mounts to things. So on the back you have this thing here, which is the suction cup. Now as you mount it on, you want to just make sure that everything's all nice and straight. So that's all mounted on like this. And then all you're doing is just doing this until this white line is behind here. So now I know, because the white line is gone, that's not coming off. Like, that's really on there. There's no way, unless I got to pull out the whole windscreen, it's not coming off. That is not coming off at all. So now that I've got this all set up with the suction mount, it means that I can get these types of shots while I'm driving. If you are a creator and you're wanting to get some different creative shots of yourself while talking to camera, this is definitely a good way to go about it. I've just found this little spot, which is actually quite nice. So it's leading up to a gate, but the car should be able to hide the gate, which would be good. For this shot, I'm going to swap over to the 35 to 150 because I want to get that nice compressed shot. So if we go to 35, get this out, so we're going to swap these over. Like so. Swappity swap. And then let's not forget the CPL filter, which is the same filter size as this. Shut the bag up, close the boot, and we are heading over there. If I was with other people, or if I was had somebody else to drive the car, then I would go and park the car up there, or equally down there somewhere. But because I am on my own, I'm having to find different solutions. So we're going to climb up this very frosty bank, and we will get in line with the car, which is about here, and we're going to go all the way to 150 and get that nice compression. Now, making sure we turn the CPL to cut out those highlights. Oh, that is on. I'm still on there you go, drive mode, single shooting. It's nice, but I think we can get maybe a different perspective. So I'm going to jump down without dying and getting wet. I think if I come up on the right hand side over here, it'll look better as we're looking down onto it from the side profile rather than head on. Yeah, it kind of works. Not bad. Let's take this drop. Thinking maybe we'll get one from the left hand side and then we'll continue on this road to head where I was intending to go. Another good tip is to make sure that you're putting some sort of foreground in front of you when you're shooting a car. Personally, it's a personal choice. Some people don't like that, some people do. I'm going to get a bit lower without getting thorns in me. So we are in the bush now. If anyone comes now, they're going to think I'm taking a dump in the bush. The price we pay for content. Oh, okay, I like that shot. That's a very nice shot. And I did scratch my leg in those brambles. Definitely worth it though. Let's jump in and head on to the next location. So if you are thinking about getting into car photography, I hope you found this video insightful. I will say the number one thing that you should have in your kit bag is a CPL filter. So if you are going to start car photography or landscape photography, then a CPL is much needed. I use the Polar Pro CPL filters. Now, these are a little bit more expensive, but to be honest, you could go and buy any of the filters from Amazon that's a CPL, and you're going to get similar results. Now, in regards to the 35 to 150, I think it's a fantastic all-round lens, and especially when you couple it with the 16 to 35, it's just a great setup. Being able to shoot wide open at 16 and compressed all the way at 150 between the two lenses is something that I really rely on at the moment. But because I'm a hybrid shooter, I typically go with the zoom lenses because it gives me everything from a wide open to a compressed image. So if you are thinking about being more of a hybrid shooter, shooting, you know, a bit of car photography, street, portraits, I would definitely be looking at financing yourself one of these. All of the photos that I've taken are on the screen. I've used my presets, which are linked down in the description. You get 125 plus presets for £10. They're down in the description. Also, at the end of February, myself, Moses, Will, and Willis are heading to Hong Kong, and you can come along as well. Head down in the description, there's a link. Come and see what it all entails, and you are, well, welcome to come along, and I hopefully will see you there. If you have any questions about car photography, street photography, or any type of photography, either put it down in the comments or head over to Instagram and send me a DM and I will get back to you. If you have any questions or any suggestions, you can also just leave it down in the comments. All that being said, create more, stress less, subscribe, like, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. For those wondering what this is that I'm using to do my videos now, it's the Osmo Pocket 3, and I'll be doing a video on that soon.